Child to learn as many musical instruments as they like takes patience, tolerance and perhaps some good soundproofing, but it can reap benefits.
That's what Jack Garratt's parents did when he was a boy, and next week he's taking them to the Brit Awards to watch him receive the Critics' Choice Prize.
We will speak to Jack in a moment. First though, let's see him in action. Oh, that was Jack Garratt playing his track Worry. He's here with us now. No worries now, though.
Well, yeah, I guess, maybe. Still some. Album isn't out just yet.
Right.
And though there's nothing I can do to change it, I still think about
done.
it all the time.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, no, it is. It's, like, definitely 100% finished, ready to go. It's been a long time putting it together and a lot of hard work, but it's taken the right amount of time that it's needed to get ready.
And when I suppose you will be a little nervous because when it's the first one, you've got nothing to look back on, really, have you?
Yeah. I mean, it's the first real opportunity I'm getting as an artist to be able to put my foot in the door and to be able to say, well, this is the most honest and accurate representation of my heart and my soul and the music that I make, and no amount of words that I could try and say can even come close to speaking on my behalf in the way that this record potentially can.
Oh, gosh, you're making me nervous.
Okay.
Tell me about your inspirations, because your mum was a big Stevie Wonder fan, is that right?
Well, I mean, both my mum and dad were huge Stevie Wonder fans, but I remember my mum showing me songs in the key of life when I was a kid, and I distinctly remember being that young and not understanding the cause of the effect that I had, like, emotionally,
right,
but knowing that there was a difference in his music to the music that I was hearing at the time when I was growing up in the 90s, and just I'm not sure what it was, because his melodies seemed to be similar to the kind of pop melodies that I loved as a kid, but there was something more to his music. There was more soul in it that, again, at the time I had no idea about, but as I grew older, got to really understand and realize.
We heard in that track your vocals can reach certainly the high end of the range, but another of your influences, Tom Waits, of course, is completely the opposite end of the vocal spectrum.
Yes, quite literally the opposite.
And I just wonder which Tom Waits you admire, because there's the Tom Waits of the 70s, early 80s, and then then off he went.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, but I kind of feel like a lot that description could be given to a lot of artists around at that time. Like, another huge inspiration to me is David Bowie, who again just went through so many different characters and personalities on his records, and there's no one that I favour more than the other, and the same is for Tom Waits, because it's all coming from the same place of integrity. It's all coming from the same place of creativity. And though sometimes the voices are different, or the songs feel like they've been written by a different version of that person, that's the thing that inspires me the most. It's that difference. It's the change that they wanted to be in themselves.
You were really lucky because your mum and dad were really fully engaged with you, sort of taking up various musical instruments, is that right?
Well, yeah, we had lots of instruments around the house because of my mum's job. She was a primary school music teacher, and she would have to bring certain instruments home to then be able to go back to the school and teach them to the kids, things like the ukulele and certain kinds of African percussion and things like that. And when she brought them home to try and learn them, I'd steal them from her, and I would try and learn them myself. And my dad learned to play the guitar when he was a teenager, and I had that bug in me somewhere, so I picked up guitars as soon as I found them. Same with pianos and stuff like that. If it made a noise, I wanted to make noise on it.
And what was your favourite instrument to learn on?
Probably the drums, because that was the one instrument I genuinely taught myself with no teaching whatsoever. The guitar, my dad gave me a couple of chords and then I taught myself, and the piano I had some lessons as a kid, but then I taught myself. But the drums was me sitting down at a drum kit going, I don't know what to do here, might as well try it.
So when you're playing, you play a whole lot of different instruments, do you?
Yes, yeah, quite
I think we've got a guitar solo here.
Yeah.
And it's just you?
Yes, yeah, it is. So the set, the live setup that I have at the moment is one I've been building for a couple of years, and it's kind of still being built. I started it with a friend of mine called Matt Harris, who really helped me kind of understand and realise the vision that I had for it. But ultimately, I wanted to be able to do like a kind of futuristic hip-hop jazz trio, but with these kind of more pop-like songs, but all myself. Being able to play more than one instrument at a time is something I've been able to do as a kid, and I kind of can't explain that. I just have been able to do it, and I wanted to make sure I utilised that properly in the performance. As
Stevie Wonder did.
Well, exactly, yeah. He performed a lot on his own records. That was actually one of the things that really inspired me about him as a kid, was knowing that he produced and made that music.
We're honoured to have you with us this morning because you were playing in London last night.
Yes, yeah. I did a show last night.
Came straight up here, which is fantastic. Is it overwhelming in the sense to have all its recognition, and to be the winner of a Brit Award, and your first album launch all at the same time. How do you keep your feet on the ground with all that?
You kind of just have to keep your feet on the ground. There's no certain tricks or anything that I've managed to teach myself. More than anything, I just kind of... It's extremely overwhelming, but the thing I remind myself of every day is I'm only here to try and make the best music that I can, and I'm only here to try and support music in the best way that I can. So the accolades and the attention and the shows and everything, they're kind of a byproduct of the reason why I feel like I'm here, which is to just spread music and be the artist I feel like I can be.
I'm just looking at... So you're Sound of the BBC winner of Sound of 2016, and I love looking back at the winners before, because they just include people like Sam Smith, Ellie Goulding and Adele.
Yes.
So in some...
It's a lovely kind of collection to be in.
I bet Sam Smith's never done synchronised swimming, though, has he?
Well, I mean, I didn't even do the synchronised swimming. I just laid on my back. But again, as incredible as it is to have been involved in that list, the more overwhelming part of it for me was to have even been put alongside the other 14 names, and even on top of that, the extensive list of names who didn't make it onto that list of 15. I think to give it a winner kind of defeats the point of having that award in the first place, which is it's to promote new music, and I'm just been honoured to be a part of that in the first place.
And just to be clear then, if you play all the instruments on your own on the album, what happens on stage?
Well, again, the same. I kind of just play it all at the same time.
Really, it's just you?
Yeah, it's just me. No band or anything. Well, because when I was building the set, I didn't have the time, nor could I afford a band, so I had to just try and find a way to be able to do it myself and create the best show possible that respected and represented the songs in the best way I could.
One of the things I've loved about this week particularly, we had Leonardo DiCaprio thanking his mum on stage, Ed Sheeran talking about his mum and dad, and you're taking your mum and dad to the Brits, aren't you?
My entire family's come to the Brits.
Are they?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't had an opportunity yet to do any kind of celebrating because everything's just been so busy, and this is going to be the first time I'm actually going to really get to, even if it's just for a second, just go, OK, and then quickly back off to work again. But I want to do that with them. I want them to be there.
All right, well, good luck with it. Thanks
very much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Jack's debut album, Phase, is out on Friday. His tour starts in Dublin at the end of next month.